You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Nesbitt, and Empire's Fall. We heard how the song was written, how and where it was recorded, the evolution of the song, and we heard from the people involved in the background vocals. We got Luna, Matt, and Lars. But now it's time to dig into the track itself. This is Empire's Fall, Part 4. As the first new song by Night Demon in a few years, this one really comes out of the gate and grabs you. So Dusty Squires' drumming on this track is one of the highlights, in my opinion, and part of what makes this song so great. And his intro drum fill is like a wake-up call that Night Demon is about to hit you with something intense. Here's Dusty Squires.
The sound I was going for, I think, the sound that we always go for is something big. From what I remember, early on, especially Curse of the Damned, the drums sound really thin. Then when you hear them on Darkness Remains, the drums are a lot bigger sounding, and they sound big on the live record, and the drums sound really big on this track. Really happy with the way they came out. We always go for a big sound. We use big cymbals, we use big drums, we use the big room at Armand studio, so everything was big, and I think the sound comes across as big, and it's fast. So I think at the same time, when you're looking for a big sound and it's such a fast song like that, there's that give and take of still having that nice tight sound but big at the same time, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's just balls to the wall. The drum intro, it's a ripper right off the bat. It was something that I just kind of came up with, and I remember Jarvis just kind of being like, wow, is that cool enough? And Armand backed me up and was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. So, it stuck. I always just think about how the part comes in after the fill. It's kind of like a triplet thing, but it just drives. And because I wanted something that kind of flows into that double bass, playing that, kind of snare roll into the double bass, it flows nicely. So I think it's cool. And I wanted to do something with the open hi, or with that little on the hi-hat. So dig-a-dig-a-dig-a-dig-a. Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to incorporate some hi-hat stuff. Even if you listen to the first fill going into the first chorus, playing it on the snare, and then I go to the open hi-hat. So, I incorporated some hi-hat stuff on this song, and that was a conscious effort to do that on my part. I kind of wanted to throw in some drum stuff that has never really been done before in Night Demon. So, it's a burner. At 41 seconds, it goes right back into the double bass again, and then I do the fill right into the verse, and there's really not much to do with a song like that except just grip it and rip it, keep the intensity up. I don't play to a click. So, I think that song, when we recorded it, it's about as fast as you possibly could play it without being too fast. I'm pushing it right on that edge. I want to keep that intensity, but I don't want to play too fast for those guys. Because if I'm too fast, then the riff starts to lose its flavor and definition. And Armand and Jarvis will be the first ones to be like, hey, man, kick it, because we need to lock in on that guitar riff, So as fast as I'm playing, they're playing just as fast, so.
Turn off the noise. There's nothing left to say. Truth is the answer. The lies come out someday.
Like in the breakdown, you can hear, the ghost notes on the snare, and the dynamics in the song are there. When it's hammering away and it's all big sounding, it's really big and loud. And then when that breakdown comes in, the drums go a lot lower in the mix. We wanted it to do that, from one extreme to the other, and then we come back in the song into the solo, then the drums are back up and big again, and it's got those key double bass parts and stuff like that. So it wasn't hard to lay this drum track down, honestly. When we were getting the sounds for the track, I played through the song so many times. So by the time it actually came time to track the song, I had played through it probably 15 times. So I was really warmed up, and I think when it came time to track it, maybe only 1 or 2 or 3 takes, if that. It was pretty simple. It was painless, from what I can remember. All the parts were done, and anytime it's time for me to record, I'm always really prepared. The last thing I want to do is go in and waste anybody's time. It's the prep before the recording that's the hardest part. It's the mental part of remembering everything, and then the repetition of you get the song going a couple times, and once it's ingrained in my brain and my muscle memory, then it's pretty easy to track after that.
I love the drum sound on this track, and we talked about the drum sound and the kit it was played on and the recording of the drums last episode, but these drums sound great on this record, and Dusty lays down a solid foundation for the riffing that makes up the driving introduction of this song.
So the initial first riff that starts the song, Jarvis, that's what he came to the table with. Yeah, it's funny because, the riff that ended up being in the verses is kind of like a play off of that riff. But it took me so goddamn long to come back around to that and make that the riff. There was all kinds of different things I was doing. I was just playing the chords, strumming along, and you'll hear those in the demos. So, it's one of those things sometimes that it's like almost like I was overthinking it, and I should have just went with my first reaction to it. But again, it was a little weird trying to figure out where we were going with new material, thinking about, what I wanted to put out there on the table as far as, being the first song, even though we didn't know if this thing was even going to turn into anything or be released or put out at all when we first started writing this song, because that's how shit goes sometimes. I mean, there's things that we work on that we throw away. We only want the best material we come up with to be put out there. So That's how that happened. And the other stuff, like I said, the arpeggiated thing in the chorus, that came to me pretty soon, pretty quick when we were working on it. So that's a fun kind of thing to play. It's a little tricky to play live because I'm singing, now doing the backups and trying to do that widdly part on the guitar. So, sorry if I miss a note here and there, guys, live, but, I'm only human, man. We're up there playing our own instrument. We're actually playing our instruments up there. So, yeah, man. No real guitar effects, just pretty much straightforward guitar plugged into an amp, just a little overdrive, tube screamer kind of overdrive. A little delay, probably a little delay on the background of those parts in the choruses. The acoustic breakdown thing, well, that was an initial part of the song. I played it on electric, when we were in the room writing it. But I always knew that part was going to lend itself to have an acoustic overlaid on it and a clean guitar thing. So yeah, there's two kind of main parts for that. There's an acoustic. There's a clean electric guitar as well, played through a Roland Jazz Chorus JC120. And I think I just did one of each of those parts, and I just love that sound. And yeah, I really like the light versus dark thing. That part of the song I think is needed because the rest of it, the whole time, is kind of pounding you. You know what I mean? It's fucking just full speed ahead. No pun intended. And so it's nice to have that little pullback, breakdown, a moment to catch your breath. Moment for us to catch our breath on stage as well. I guess you could look at it that way. So the acoustic thing coming in gives it that cool kind of Renaissance-y medieval feel to it, which I'm a huge fan of. The keyboards, it's like a B3 organ. I played that part. It's just a simple part under the solo to fill it out. I think it comes out once the solo's done. Something that I bring to the band. I've always been a fan of having some organ, especially with a 3-piece band. It kind of fills out some of the guitar, stuff that you're missing from like a second guitar player without having to do another guitar. I'd rather do something like that, to give it a cool, different texture. So
when talking about the bass line in this song, I think that with every album, I start to focus a lot more on not flashy playing, I would say, but how intricate can I get with the bass guitar in a 3-piece band while still holding it down and keeping the root notes there and keeping the foundation. So I'm very conscious now whenever writing a song to just go overboard first instead of just dumb it down first and then try and add more later. So right off the bat, this starts with a guitar and bass harmony. What you hear, there's no backing bass foundation at all. That's me playing up very high on the bass and Armand playing low on the guitar. There's a lot of speed picking. There's a lot of intricate stuff on the bass. When I sing, it's more of a simple strumming pattern on the verse, so I'm able to do both easily. There's some bass fills on the chorus that I do in between vocal parts. There's some that happen underneath the vocal. And like I said, I know the song so well. That's how I'm able to play that stuff live.
Sold out by the wicked machine, built to destroy is the game. Revolution, no evolution, a master without a name. Oh, eternally bled for them all. Oh, awaiting the empire's fall.
When it comes to the bridge section, yeah, I'm playing a lot more dynamic. I'm doing a melodic pattern underneath it instead of just holding the root notes.
Turn off the noise, there's nothing left to say. Truth is the answer, the lies come out someday.
The middle section of this song could be related to the midsection of The Howling Man, where it dips down like that.
Through history, it's just a face in the crowd. Where there was sin, corruption, and war, he was always there. Now that he's trapped, I'm not letting go. Please, oh please, don't open the door. No.
On this song, I wanted to play a little bit more, play some more melodic lines than I did on The Howling Man. I think back when we recorded Curse of the Damned, I wasn't as confident in myself as a bass player, and it was just too risky to try stuff like that. So on this one, I wasn't holding back at all, and that's just what you come out with. There's also a ton of interplay between the guitar and bass on this song, and it's pretty much what Night Demon's always done, with the guitar and bass harmonizing in every spot that we can. But really, we took it to the next level with this song, and it's basically a precursor to usher the listener into the newer era of Night Demon, where there's a lot of this stuff happening on these singles and a lot more to come on our next record of just a lot more musicianship between the guitar and the bass, really complementing each other.
Like I've said before, it's kind of a culmination of every style that we are a fan of, mixed into one song. You've got the maideny kind of chorus riff, the punk kind of like, gallop on the bass and the rhythm guitars, and then the pretty, acoustic breakdown thing, where I go back to my Iommi roots, my orchid roots, and then back in, blistering guitar solo, backing vocals. I mean, what else do you need, man? It's all there. Double bass, brutal double bass on the beginning. You can't forget that. Good old Dusty boy.
But I really like the way the song came out. I like the breakdown, and I like the blistering madness of the track as a whole. You know, it's short and sweet, but it takes some energy to play. The whole song just came together nicely. I think we did a really good job of making a 2-minute and 40-second banger that just has all the elements, and what more could you ask for?
Well, Dusty asks, what more could you ask for? Well, how about original single cover art, which in my opinion is one of the best covers Night Demon has ever done, if not the best cover.
Cover art is extremely important, and especially in the metal genre. You know, we've always said with Night Demon, it's half music, half art. We pride ourselves so much on the artwork that we have, and it's like the imagery goes hand in hand with the music. There's been so many great bands with terrible art or no like. It's cool to have recurring themes, and it's good to have an identity to your brand, I guess. And there's just been so many bands that have just, their artwork is just so randomized. It's really hard to identify with. So, you know, we've made a conscious effort from day one, as I've mentioned many times on this podcast, you know, to really focus on the art and have the imagery reflect what the music is.
I think cover art is almost as important as the song itself. You know, the classic saying, you never want to judge a book by its cover, but, you know, I think the cover art speaks for itself, and it should be taken seriously and with a lot of thought put into it. What I really like about our artwork in particular is that it's majority hand-drawn or hand-painted. Rarely ever do we do anything that's like computer-generated. I noticed that with a lot of bands these days is their artwork is computer-generated, and it just doesn't really, you know, it's like classic horror movies versus newer horror movies, you know? It's like when you have all that CGI, it doesn't really look as cool as the classic gore and, you know, when people did real shit, real makeup, you know? And I think that the album artwork nowadays is just as important as keeping it old school. And I think we do a pretty good job of that, especially with Empire's Fall.
Well, we have an amazing, talented artist that does a lot of stuff for us.
Our history with Andrei Bouzikov, it's not too storied and it's not too intensive at all, but it goes back a really long way. He was one of the first people that we contacted when we started the band to come up with the character of Rocky. And he did do a sketch for us, which I still have. And it just ended up being kind of the wrong direction. And we went a different way. But then, you know, I hadn't talked to him in years and years. And when this came up and with the whole singles idea, we wanted a different artist for every cover. So naturally, I wanted him to do it because he's so good at this stuff. And it came out amazing. And, you know, that old Rocky sketch that he did, we've actually been talking, he and I, in the past year about actually finishing that because we have some other ideas for it now. It actually is a very, very awesome depiction. It's just not what it's more of a human form, and it's not what we really wanted at the time when we were kickstarting the band. It was my idea to bring the two mascots together. We had done it before on the the Final Curse tour, where we played. It was the final tour for Curse of the Damned, and we had Rocky and Eugene on the front of that T-shirt, and basically like Rocky was sitting on this throne, and Eugene was kneeled down to him with the axe, and Rocky's kind of like whispering in his ears, basically like commanding him, like telling him what to do. He's like the evil godfather, and Eugene is like the axe wielding puppet, you know. So we brought them back here, and what my idea was to have this kind of like Godzilla Mothra kind of scene over Hollywood. So it's like you have Rocky pouring out a goblet of hot lava or fire, over the city, and people are getting burned and running, and the people running are meant to symbolize the old school record executives. And then you have Eugene with his axe just crushing or slicing in half the iconic Capitol Records building down in Hollywood and Vine. And I thought that was a really cool way to portray what this song really means. So, I mean, even just looking at it without hearing the song, you definitely get that idea.
But I think if you didn't really know the band and you saw the artwork, you'd want to know what it is, and you'd probably give it a listen. It's got the Capitol Records building on there, and it was really cool to incorporate Eugene and Rocky on the front, and it's kind of like post-apocalyptic, and it's unique. It's got everything you want out of it, and the majority of the blue color, and the fire coming up, and Rocky pouring the chalice over everybody, and Eugene ready to put the axe through the Capitol building. I think it's cool. It gets the point across, and it works with the song.
I was really impressed with the cover art when I first saw it. First, I saw some pencil sketches that Andrei did, and we made a couple tweaks to that. But, it's really, there were only maybe one or two revisions before he actually painted the piece. But, yeah, we were pretty good about giving him direction about what we wanted. We didn't just say, oh, here's the song, listen to it, go for it. We were like, here's what we want to depict on the cover of this thing.
So Jarvis just referenced this art and how it started as a pencil sketch before becoming a painting. So the original pencil sketch by Andrei Bouzikov of this art was added to the subscriber store on 19min.net. But now also in the store is the original 16-inch by 16-inch Empire's Fall cover painting by Andrei Bouzikov. So this is the actual painting that became the album cover for this single. And it's a piece of Night Demon history. So this artwork, it makes a great impression. It grabs your attention. And when you look at it, it conveys the feeling of the song, like completely. But above all else, it just looks cool. I liked it so much that I immediately bought the t-shirt when the single was released. I'm actually wearing it right now. But with no advanced warning or pre-orders, releasing a single like this with really, really great artwork goes a long way to promote the song.
As far as promoting this song, since there was no pre-order and there was no pre-announcement or anything, we kind of decided with the label that we were going to take it a little bit easy on promotion. We did do some print ads in a couple magazines, in Decibel Magazine in the U.S. and Def Forever Magazine in Germany. But we kind of wanted to just put these singles out and see what they did and not really alert the press about it in advance or really push them for features yet until we had a full-length record out. And what we decided to do to supplement that was kind of a little bit more on the musician's side, but was to do a guitar playthrough, a bass playthrough, and a drum playthrough for this song. So all separate videos of us as individuals just playing the song where, in a video where you could see our hands and see what we're doing. So Armand's video got picked up by Guitar World, which, for any guitar player, that's like, it's the #1 magazine for guitar. And it's what we grew up reading and having a subscription to. And I learned a lot about music through that magazine and a lot about equipment and stuff. So Armand was featured on their online version, obviously, because you can't put a video in a magazine. But, just what an accomplishment. To finally be featured in Guitar World. That's the dream. And so I'm glad that happened for him.
And that was fucking huge for me. That's a very, 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 very big milestone in my life to have my name, at all, let alone have a video associated with, a magazine that I grew up reading and learned so much from. It was pretty amazing to be able to have that happen. So I thank whoever, push that for me, and I love you all, and thanks for making this little boy's dreams come true.
For me, my video was picked up by Bass Magazine, which is equally awesome on the bass player side. And that video did very well, and it was really cool to be featured on that. As far as the drum playthrough, I thought Dusty's video came out better than any of ours. And I mean, the stamina that it takes to play the song on drums is I mean, it's not an overthought song, but he plays it hard, he plays it well, plays it fast. His video was never picked up by any media outlet for some stupid reason.
Yeah, and the drum, the bass thing was great too. They fucking went for that. Now, for some reason, we were trying to get the drum playthrough on, through their magazine, the drummer magazines, with Modern Drummer or whatever, whichever one it was. I don't know. But I don't know, for whatever reason, man, they didn't give Dusty no love, man.
The guys wanted some promotion, and they wanted some traction with that, and they really wanted to get into Guitar and Bass magazine or website, and that was a good way for them to kind of get out there and do that. The drum playthrough wasn't released. We were trying to get it into Modern Drummer or Drum, and nobody wanted to pick it up. And I don't know. I don't know why it wasn't released. It's just sitting there somewhere. So it's pretty cool though. It's got the what my feet are doing. There's a foot camera, and there's an overall camera of what I'm playing on the song. So I think that's something that we'll eventually release at some point.
I guess as a special gift to the Night Demon subscribers, we're gonna put this video up as bonus content, and you can see that behind the paywall on our site. And this is we're giving you guys the world premiere of this. It's fucking awesome, and I highly encourage everybody to go check this out.
Hey guys, Nesbitt here. If you would like to support Night Demon and this podcast, the best way to do it is to become a Night Demon subscriber. Not only will you be doing your part to support a true heavy metal band out there really living it, you'll also gain access to a ton of extras. Bonus audio content, a subscriber-only merch store with rare items from the band's archives. You can stream never-before-heard demos and unearth live concerts from the live vaults. Communicate with the other Night Demon diehards on an exclusive subscriber forum, and gain early access to all press releases, album pre-orders, new merchandise, and a ton more. And another thing that I think is pretty cool is Night Demon will be donating 10% of every subscription fee to the Metal Cares Foundation, which is a charitable fund the band started in 2014 to aid those in our metal community. So head over to nightdemon.net/subscriber and join us as we make heavy metal history together as one. And on a side note, I'll personally think you're a grade A badass.
For Empire's Fall and the other singles, we decided to do lyric videos. We got this guy, Guillermo Henriquez, from, I don't know where he's from, but he's not from America. But our product manager at the time, Arne, hired him and said, he's going to do this on the cheap, and he's going to do the job. We got a discount basically because we hired him in bulk and said, hey, we're going to give you 4 or 5 videos. We're going to give you some work. So, I worked with him directly and went over different ideas and stuff.
I think lyric videos nowadays are a good way to get the song out there, where you can use the artwork and be able to branch off with the artwork and really just put together this presentation instead of doing a music video. And people want to know the words to these songs, and they want to kind of get the idea as far as what the song's trying to say.
The idea just to do lyric videos was, I think lyric videos are not too effective, but I personally like them a lot because on first listen / watch, you're reading the lyrics as they go by. I mean, there's some of my favorite songs that I've known for years. Sometimes I'm like, that's what he said? Oh man. Like, or that's what she's saying in that song. I always thought it was this, right? So you get an idea right away. It keeps your attention. You follow along with the song, and you're really, a lot of heavy metal stuff is music driven. It's not lyric driven. And when you can read the lyrics along for the first time, you're like, I get what that song's about. I know what that's saying. That connects with me or not, but there's nothing left to be wondering about after that. So that was our conscious move to do that. Plus, to do a full production video for every song costs an insane amount of money, and we wanted to have some content for each of some moving visual art for each of these singles, and that's why we decided to do that.
It's just one of those things these days. It's a kind of easy way to get some video content up there, without getting into production. And, we don't want to do another, just like, hey, here's the band playing in a room, kind of thing, even though we ended up doing that with Wisteria. Yeah, I mean, we always want to do stuff that's like a lot, like on a grand scale when it comes to video stuff. You've seen in the past. So, but at the time, it was during the pandemic. We couldn't really get anybody to come out and shoot anything. So the lyric video thing came out, and I think it's a cool idea. Plus, pretty important lyrics to get out there. So I think it's a way to just give it to people. Plus, if you didn't get the record, which there was only 1,000 of, then you wouldn't be able to have the lyrics to read along to. So this is another way, kind of a new way of doing that. It's the modern version of opening up the gatefold and reading along to the lyrics while you listen to the song. So it gives you some visuals, some little moving things in the background for the kids these days with their short attention spans and everything else.
So a vinyl single, a lyric video, and playthrough videos, all great ways to promote a new single, but in today's world, digital streaming is just as important. So Empire's Fall was released on its release day on all the streaming services, streaming on Spotify and on Pandora as a featured track.
Hey, this is Jarvis Leatherby from Night Demon. We just dropped a brand new single called Empire's Fall. Tap the button on your screen to order the band-exclusive limited 7-inch single.
An audio liner is basically a small, short sentence of promotion, usually done by the band. Sometimes they call them station IDs, like if you're on a radio show or something. Hey, this is Jarvis from Night Demon, and you're listening to... But it's just a small ad that these digital streaming platforms put in saying, hey, this is so-and-so from Night Demon. You're listening to our latest single.
Hey, this is Night Demon. We just dropped a brand new song called Empire's Fall. Check it out now.
It's not the coolest thing to do, but it's just some good promotion to do for the single, and it's part of, playing the game. And, especially if somebody is just a casual listener and they're listening to a playlist, it's helpful if the guy from the band comes in and says, hey, here's a break in the monotony. Here is what you're about to hear, or here's what you just did hear. And it kind of maybe sticks with the listener a little more.
Hey everyone, it's Jarvis Leatherby from Night Demon. Our new song, Empire's Fall, is available to stream now on Spotify. Click the banner to keep listening.
As far as singles go, on Spotify, Apple Music, and all of these other digital streaming platforms, really the way that you get the most plays these days without somebody just going directly to find your music is there's curators for Spotify and Apple Music and such that, the labels and the distributors pitch these singles to, and they get added to playlists. So as far as the singles campaign that we did in 2020, a lot of these singles, most of them, Actually, all of them were playlisted. Most of them got added to the Spotify new metal playlist, which is brand new metal tracks, not the subgenre new metal. Although we really don't fit much in this category, it's the playlist that has the most listeners. So you get a lot more streams when that happens because a lot of people subscribe to this playlist and they listen to it. So with that said, Empire's Fall obviously ended up in this playlist, sandwiched between a bunch of bands that we don't really sound like, but it's always good to be exposed to other metal listeners that listen to different metal subgenres just to expose them to what we do.
I think the single was received really well. I haven't heard any gripes about it. I think people were like, they were just like, fuck, what's next, If anything, it opened up the interest about what we were going to do. If that was just a single, was there a record coming? We kept them hanging on that idea for a little bit.
I think the fans dig it, I think they liked it coming off, right out the gates. I think it was a good song to come out with. I honestly didn't read any reviews. I don't really know what people have said as far as the journalists and those people go, but I haven't heard anything bad from the fans. I know that some of the people from the label really liked the song, and I think for them to hear that for the first time, as far as, the new music coming out after a couple years, it was a good song to start with.
Empire's Fall was received very well by the fans. There wasn't any shit talking, at least that I saw. But like I said, it's a pretty safe song to come out of Darkness Remains into. And it's got that speed, it's got that Night Demon intensity, and then it's got this beautiful bridge section. It's short, sweet, and to the point. And, I think our fans just support us no matter what, but the reaction overall was really good. And there was a lot of shares on the song online, and people were really digging it. I think the song is going to go down very well live. We did get to test it out in Asheville, North Carolina at our comeback show.
As you know, we debuted that song for the first time ever at the Metal and Stone Fest in North Carolina a few months back. And for the small but powerful audience that was there, I think they were over the moon over us playing it. Who wouldn't be? First fucking time. It was the first time we've played a live show since the pandemic, and it was also the first time playing all these songs that were released, over a year ago. So that's a win-win for everybody that was there.
Mr. Dusty Squires on the drums!
It was great there, but definitely I'm looking forward to taking this to a larger audience, especially overseas in a festival environment or something. When asked, was it conscious when we wrote those, that big sing-along chorus to, was it intended for a live audience? Yeah. I think all of our songs are.
To have the whoa parts. Yeah, I think it's a sing-along part. It's a song that people can get behind, and once it becomes a part of the set, I think it's going to be a great sing-along song. And I'm sure, in our minds, we had the idea that this will be a good sing-along. To have the audience in mind and the participation parts. Yeah, I think we think about that.
Every time we write a song, we imagine playing the song live and what that feels like and what an audience member would feed, how an audience would feed off of a song. So, I could say that for sure with all of our songs, but especially with this one, I'm really confident.
The whoa whoa part, yeah, I mean that's perfect for live. I mean, I knew that when we started layering those backing vocals and doing those things as a sing along. I knew that it was like, all right, well, this is going to go over really great live. I can't wait to get to Europe and do it in front of a fucking big crowd, and really hear that fucking chant go over live.
As far as the background vocals, the gang vocals from the stage, Dusty and Armand handle that. They each have a microphone, and like I said, we have played it live already, so that it fills out on its own from there. So if nobody knew the song in the audience, we would still be fine.
Yeah, the background vocals live, we have to sing those, and it's a little tricky at times. Anytime I'm playing drums and I have to sing background vocals, I kind of have to turn my head. So, I'm using the side of my eye to kind of look at the kit, and there's a lot of parts that I'm playing blind. So I kind of just have to be comfortable with it and do it. I think with repetition and the more we play it, the easier it's going to be. But, it's something that I've been working on. So, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think we pull it off pretty well.
As far as how I handle the guitar break in the middle, well, yeah, exactly how you hear it. I mean, I wrote it. It was written while we were rehearsing it writing it in the live room. So I didn't have the acoustic thing. The acoustic thing was an afterthought. So I would usually just play that, I would kind of clean my guitar up when we get to that section. And yeah, I play it. It's a finger pick part. So I just play it kind of like, what our heroes, Iommi and Hetfield would do. They go to a clean channel in the amp and just play the part the way it is. Maybe one day I'll have a acoustic setup on the side of the stage. I can go over and play it on a stand, kind of like James does when they do Unforgiven and shit like that. That'd be kind of cool. But, we'll see.
So that was Empire's Fall, from its early beginnings as a bass demo through its many lyrics about Cleveland, social media culture, space travel, to the final version and the addition of James Paul Luna, Lars Fredriksson, and Matt Freeman on background vocals, finally taking form as a live powerhouse on the stage as Night Demon returned to the road. So be sure to check out the bonus section on nightdemon.net. We have all the demos of the various forms and versions of this song as it developed, and we have video and images of Andrei Bouzikov creating the art that would become the cover of the single. We have all 3 playthrough videos available to watch from all 3 members of Night Demon. There's a photo gallery of Lars and Matt from Rancid singing with Jarvis in the studio, pictures of the merch, all the single variants associated with the single, and a lot more. And don't forget about the subscriber store with original artworks from Andrei Bouzikov, rare vinyl. There's some out-of-print t-shirts in there, all in the subscriber section at nightdemon.net. Until next time, this is Nesbitt signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel
that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.